Welcome to the Kelly Healing Project, where we have real conversations about healing, growth, and stepping into your power. I'm Kelly, and I'm so glad you're here. So today, I'm joined by Dr. Liz Scott, a psychologist with over 50 years of experience helping people navigate life's biggest challenges. She's also the author of You're Going to Die, But Not Me, a book that began as her own search for better understanding fear, meaning, and how we can live more fully. Throughout her career, Dr. Scott has worked with people facing grief, anxiety, major life transitions, and the universal search for purpose. While her latest book explores our relationship with death, today's conversation is really about life, how we heal, how we grow through adversity, and the challenges and lessons that she's learned at, after 5 decades of helping people navigate the human experience. Dr. Liz Scott, welcome to the Kelly Healing Project.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I'm delighted to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What first inspired you to become a psychologist more than 50 years ago?
Yeah. I wish I could say it was a little bit more planned out than it was. Um, I'm a person that tends to sort of take the next logical step in front of me. So I didn't have this as a life goal. I was
Oh,
the mother of, I had an undergraduate degree in art history.
wow.
And then I was a mother of two very small children and was bored. So I decided to go back to school, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I took one of these classes for women who are returning to the workplace, and the woman who was teaching the course is somebody I really liked and admired, and I had a conversation with her afterwards and asked her what her degree was in, and she said psychology, and I thought, that sounds interesting. I think I'll do that. So I know it doesn't sound very thought out, and it wasn't, but it's strange, Kelly, because it's turned out to be the absolutely perfect career for me.
Oh wow, that's awesome. And I know you've helped so many people. So is it possible that maybe you could share a story of maybe someone that you've helped and like just seeing their transformation and like kind of,
Hmm.
where they were and where they are now? Is that
Hmm.
possible?
Let me think if I can think of a good example for that. I tend to, most psychologists who are in private practice tend to have a kind of similar clientele, people that come to them. Sometimes it's because I get referred from other clients. So the people I see tend to be people that I would call are more on a personal growth path. Right. So it's not, I'm not very good at working with people who have very severe mental illness, who
Mhm.
are drug addicted or anything like that. These are more kind of I guess in the trade, what we would call the worried well. And
Mm. Oh,
so it's a lot of, and I do see a fair amount of couples too. So I really enjoy working with couples, and that's been very gratifying. I mean, I think, let me see if I can come up with an example. Uh, I have a client who, a very smart woman who is a physician, and she was in a religious group also that asked her to do a presentation, and she felt very nervous and like she didn't really deserve to do it because she wasn't one of the elders of this congregation or anything like that. So it was a very fascinating few months we spent working on her, what the origins of not feeling like she belonged in general.
mm.
So it wasn't just specific to this, but she had more sort of childhood issues about feeling like she didn't belong. And as we worked through those, she could let go of that, the sort of burden of that
Oh,
she'd been carrying for her whole life, and then freely approach this invitation that she was given.
wow, that's awesome.
It
Yeah,
was.
I know I've struggled a lot with that. Even my own worth.
Huh,
It's like
yes.
where I've come from and just The difficult circumstances that I experienced, the trauma, it has a way of kind of pushing you down. And so it's like I had to reclaim my power and see that no, I've always been worthy. And I just forgot it basically. And so
Yeah.
yeah.
You're so right about that. I mean, I think we absorb these messages from our childhood. It's like a script we're given, and we learn the script, we memorize it. We don't even realize we're doing that. And often it has to do with how we think about ourselves, the way we identify ourselves, like not being worthy. And we just carry that into our adult lives. And until we start examining that and really seeing where did that come from? Is that accurate? Is that really what I believe? Until we do that conscious examination, we're likely to just kind of go through our lives with these beliefs about ourselves.
Right. And that's really all they are, is there's
Yes,
certain belief systems. There's certain stories that you wrote to maybe explain what happened to you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're true, but they're just what they people believe that is true about themselves.
most of the time it's
So,
not true.
hmm So many of my listeners have experienced trauma or significant life challenges. So, in your experience, what qualities do people who heal well tend to have in common?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, one of the general principles I think of this work is that avoidance of difficult feelings, things we are
Mm,
afraid of, or things we're hiding from, or things we're pushing down, tends to increase the power of those feelings. They just kind of grow in strength. And the antidote to that is not to avoid, but to approach. So my work with clients is to provide a safe space where somebody can gently, patiently, safely, incrementally look at these things without getting too frightened, right? And I think when we're too frightened, we just tend to push those feelings down even more, right? We tend to run from them
mhm.
if it's too frightening. So, but it doesn't work to avoid. Avoidance just does not work. It doesn't
Right.
work.
hmm
I wish it
Oh,
did, but it doesn't.
I've heard of that. Oh my God, what you resist persists. I've
Yes,
heard of that. Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. I kind of sometimes I imagine it's like if you lock a German Shepherd in the basement and you just hear this growling, growling, scratching, growling, and then it becomes too frightening to open the door. And on the other hand, if the door were just opened and the dog was just roaming through the house, it wouldn't be frightening. So I,
Mm.
that's right. What we resist persists and gets stronger and more frightening.
Right. So has exploring mortality changed the way you approach everyday life?
It has.
Oh, okay.
It has. And this is why I wrote the book to begin with, is because I was noticing, and I'm almost 80 years old, so it's around the corner for me. Um, but yeah, the lifespan for women in the United States is 81.4 years. So that's just,
Really?
yes, I know, right? Um, so my my following my own advice is I decided to just take a deep dive into this and not try to resist thinking about it, not try to resist exploring it. So I went down every conceivable rabbit hole about mortality and death and everything I could get my hands on. And so there's a I don't know if you're familiar with exposure therapy.
Oh, yes,
Mhm.
yes. Hmm.
So this became a kind of exposure therapy course for myself. So the more I let myself explore and confront the fear, the less frightened I was. And the more, well, this is a sidebar. I have a client who's this man that's about 50 years old, and he'll often say things like, well, I probably have a good 20 or 30 years left. And I always say, if you're lucky, because who knows, I could walk out the door and who knows what is around that corner for the rest of us, for any of us at any point. So it has made me seize the day much
Hmm.
more, like be here now. This is what we have. We have the present moment. The future is not guaranteed to any of us. And if we spend too much time with worry and fear, that's being in the future. Worry and fear exist in the
Mm.
future. So I'm doing my best to expand my experience in the present moment.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. And then if you're looking, and then also looking back at the past, if you're thinking about your trauma and what happened,
Yes,
then you're in the past.
that's
And it's
right.
so important to be in the present moment because life is happening now.
That's right. That's right.
Uh,
I will use this image with clients a lot. I'll think of a pie chart, past, present, and future, and think of how the pie chart is divided. And of course, we need to have a slice in the future. That's where our plans and our dreams and our goals are. We need a slice in the past. That's where our memories and our nostalgia are. I wouldn't speak for anybody else, but my ideal way to slice up that pie is I'd like to be 80% in the present, 10 in the future, and 10 in the past. That's my ideal. And so
oh,
when I notice myself too much in either of those other places, I try to reorient myself to the present.
oh my gosh, I like that. Yeah, that's good. Um, so what do you think people misunderstand most about trauma and emotional healing?
Mm. Um, well, I mean, I think the naive view is that trauma is something that happens one time,
Mm,
that it's an event that happens. When
mm,
really trauma, as you were alluding to earlier, reorients the way we think about ourselves and the image we have of ourselves and the way we have of thinking about ourselves and describing ourselves. So yes, talking about the trauma and being able to have a safe place to deal with that is good. It's just the kind of deeper work of sort of reconstructing your self-concept that was, misconstructed as a result of trauma.
right, yeah. That's so true. And I did I think I almost 8 years. I had 8 years of weekly trauma therapy.
Great,
And
wonderful.
yeah, yeah, we did a lot of stuff. I think there was some exposure therapy, some inner child.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember, but yeah, there were a lot of different things that we did. And it's funny because even my first memory, like when I used to even think about it, like I would just start bawling. And
Yeah.
now I can talk about it like it's nothing. Like it doesn't like the emotional reaction that it used to have,
Yeah.
it's not there anymore. It used to
Yeah.
be so emotionally charged.
Yeah. That's wonderful that you did all that work, Kelly. And it sounds like
Yeah.
it sounds like you were able to let go of any sense that this is who you are, that
Right.
the trauma does not define you.
Right. Yes, that I'm able to actually take out the pen and write my own story. Like I don't
Yes.
I can create whatever I want. It doesn't
Yes.
have my past doesn't define me. And
Absolutely not. Good for you. That's
yeah,
wonderful.
I'm trying each day at a time. It's been a long journey. I feel like I've been on this journey for over maybe 20 years, 15 to 20 years, just healing. Like
Well,
it's been a lot. Yeah.
Well, it is, but I mean, I think this is something I will often say to clients too, is that I really don't believe that there's a finish line where any of us get to spike the ball and do the victory dance. It's we're all mucking around doing the best we can. The weird way I have saying it is like we're all in the clown bus. All of us are on the clown bus, and so it's a process, and I think it's a those of us who are committed to a life of growth and healing
Mm,
recognize that it's a lifelong pursuit and there is no finish line. There's no finish line.
exactly. That's so true.
Hmm.
So if somebody feels disconnected from themselves,
Hmm.
where do you encourage them to begin?
With the body,
Okay,
with
that's a
the
good one.
body, with the
S-
body.
So many people become so disconnected from their body that they don't even pick up on the cues.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
and would you say a lot of that reconnecting with the body is regulating the nervous system, in your opinion?
Well, our nervous system is obviously becomes kind of wired in a certain way right? So
Mm,
if you're somebody that had to be on guard all the time as a child, like, uh-oh, what's going to be around the next corner? You know, if you've got parents who are unpredictable and you never knew what was going to
yeah.
happen, you were walking on eggs, your nervous system is wired in that kind of, you know, hyper vigilant way. Right?
Mm,
So I think working with some of the somatic, some of the body therapies can really help you. You know, there's obviously mind-body connection. If our bodies are more in a parasympathetic state, then our minds are more, you know, body and mind. If we have a
right.
relaxed mind, our body is more relaxed. If we have a relaxed body, our mind is more relaxed. So they're,
Mm,
right, they work in tandem. And so you can kind of come about it from both angles. You can work in somatic, like Reiki and massage and
oh, yeah.
other body works, you know, pounding pillows,
Oh,
tr truly, because it's something that sort of gets some of the energy out of your body, right?
mm,
The body-mind connection is so, so important, I think.
oh, yeah. I feel like that's been a huge part of my journey too, is realizing that some of the energy it needs to be moved too.
Yes,
And
yes,
even dancing.
yes.
Yes, because I like to do that too. I mean, not around anybody, but it just you feel the joy. It just helps you move things. I don't know. It's just it changes the way that you think and the way that you
Totally.
feel. It
I
it's
I totally believe that. I have a belief I will own here. I think that if if there were no societal, familial constraints on people, we would all be singing and dancing all the time.
right.
That's what I
Mm-hmm.
think. That's what I believe because it is free expression. It's just not, it's just being out there, having our bodies have joyous experience. I think we would be doing it all the time if it were not for, oh, what's somebody going to think of me? Or I shouldn't do that. Or that's calling too much attention to myself. Or I'm being too much of a
Right.
show off. Or, you know, whatever messages we've internalized.
Right. I totally support that too, because I love singing and dancing. Yeah. And I've learned to care less what other people think because it's just people will perceive you how they want to perceive you. And it's not your self-worth or how people perceive you. It doesn't define you. It's people are in their own world already. They don't care what you're doing. Just have
They're
fun.
mostly thinking about themselves. And I like the kind of harsh, it's a kind of harsh way of saying it, but it's none of your business what other people think of you.
Yes, yes. And you can even explaining, like over explaining to other, because I used to do that as a
Uh-huh.
trauma response. But if people are going to misunderstand you, it doesn't matter how clearly you explain, they're going to misunderstand you either way. It's not your job to convince them.
Right. And
You live
right,
and you be you, and it's
right,
cool. Yeah.
right. And
But
so what? And so what?
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. So, what role does self-compassion play in healing, and why is it so difficult for people who've experienced trauma to have self-compassion?
It's so important. And I will often have an experience with a client where they're um, in the process of learning something new, some new way of being or thinking about themselves, and they'll say something like, I can't believe that this is so obvious. I can't believe that I didn't think of that. And my immediate thought is, you know, now you're criticizing yourself for not
Mm,
coming to this sooner. You're criticizing yourself. So imagine the way I think about this is it's about the relationship we have with ourself. And we don't tend to think of the fact that we have a relationship with ourselves. So
mm,
if a friend were telling you a story about something they learned about themselves and you said, I can't believe you didn't know that before. What's the matter with you that you didn't know that before? That would not be you probably wouldn't be friends with them
right.
for too much longer. That's not a very good relationship. So
Mm,
the way you speak to yourself in a kind, compassionate, to use your word, way is so important. It's like if you never took a physics class before and you were plopped down in a physics lecture and you start criticizing yourself for not knowing it, it's just you're never going to learn. Your mind's going to be closed if you're criticizing yourself. So being open with yourself, gentle, compassionate, makes you more amenable to learning.
right. Yes. And I've learned this too because that self-compassion, it didn't come naturally. I realized over my healing journey that I internalized a voice that wasn't mine from
Yep,
childhood.
yep,
And once I recognized that, I was able to kind of put an end to it. And
yep,
even if it felt uncomfortable, because I did some mirror work where I would stare in the
right,
mirror and talk to myself and like, I love myself, I accept myself. At
right,
first, it's not going to feel you're going to have some resistance, but it's important, at least for me, that I kept going. And now I have compassion for myself.
yeah.
And it's great.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
more than great. It's fantastic. It's really really wonderful. And I think in terms of like stages along the way, as soon as you recognize, oh, that's not my voice, that's an old voice, that's a parent's voice or
Hmm.
church or school or whatever, that's not my voice. Then what you can do in terms of being compassionate and kind with yourself when you notice that voice come up, instead of criticizing yourself, you can say, oh, that's that old voice. Just tag it.
Hmm.
Oh, that's that old voice. Just tag it. And the more you tag it as the old voice, the more you'll make the separation between who you are and what you've internalized.
Ooh, separating the identity.
Hmm.
Oh, I see.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay, that makes so much sense. So you've seen people reinvent themselves after major life events. So is there a common turning point that often comes before lasting transformation that you've noticed?
Um,
Like, is it like a breakthrough like it's almost like they feel like their life is falling apart and then it's like, okay, time to rebuild. That kind of thing,
Well,
maybe?
I think the truth is that most people don't come into therapy just because they think it's a wonderful idea. There's usually something difficult that's going on in
Mm,
their life. It's usually
true.
something that we're suffering with or, some pain we're dealing with that brings us into therapy because it's not easy. It's not easy to sit in a
Mm,
therapist's office and deal with this stuff. It
right.
takes a lot of courage. So we don't go unless we sort of need to, unless we have to. So at the same time, Kelly, I think that this notion that there are big, aha moments, eureka, and all of a sudden people see the light, I think that almost never happens. I think it's more like the
Mm,
chip, 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 chip. It's kind of like filling up a glass of water one drop at a time, one drop at a time, and eventually one drop is going to spill over. So it's the accretion of everything you talk about and talking about it in all sorts of different ways, repeating, 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 because after all, it's a learning process. It's learning to think about yourself in a different way, learning to
mm,
identify yourself in a different way. And you can't, if I wanted to learn French tomorrow, I couldn't just decide I want to learn that and now I'm fluent. I couldn't be an expert tennis player just because I decided
right.
to. It would take rehearsal, 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 rehearsal. And that's the same with therapy.
Mm,
So it's drop, 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 drip, 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 chip, chip, chip,
little by little.
little
Yeah.
by little.
Taking those baby steps.
Yep.
So, yeah. Because a lot of people, even with me, I didn't develop the trauma overnight. So it's not like, one night
No,
I got it and then I'm just going to heal in
no,
one night. It's been years. So
of
it's going to take
course.
years.
Absolutely, 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 absolutely. And really, I hope you give yourself credit for the courage that you've been able to muster.
Thank you. Yeah. Because my kids not only deserve a healed version of me, but I also deserve a healed version of me.
That's right. That's right. It's interesting you say that because often one of my favorite questions with clients is, what would you want for your daughter in this regard? Like I have one client who's in a relationship with a guy that's not a good guy, and
Mm,
she's got a daughter from her first marriage, and I would say, so flash forward 20 years, and your daughter comes to you with this exact same story. What would you tell her? Because I think when we think of our children, what we want for our children, it's our highest
mm,
self. We want the best for them, right? And then the follow-up question is, well, why would you not, why do you not deserve that also? Why do you not deserve what your daughter deserves? Why?
mm. Right. Yes. And that's another reason why, too, working through my own inner critic,
Mhm.
I was like, would I want my kids to do the same thing? No, because I realized
Exactly.
I was being so hard on myself. But the thing is, I realized that I had a belief that like I wasn't enough or I wasn't worthy. So I would nitpick at different things. And
Hmm.
would I want my kids to do? No. So why am I doing that? Like, why am I setting that example? Even though they don't know what but
Oh, they do know.
still,
They do
it's a
know in some way. They do know in some way. They do. They do in
yeah,
some way. I mean, you know this. Kids just pick up stuff.
that's true. Yeah,
They just pick up stuff. Yeah.
they do.
Hmm.
So many of my listeners have done a lot of work on themselves, but still find themselves reacting to old patterns.
Hmm.
So why is insight alone often not enough to create lasting change?
Yeah, that's very, very true. And I've found over the years that focusing mostly on insight is very helpful for some type of people. Focusing like on
Mm,
homework stuff is really helpful for other type of people. So people are different in terms of what works best, what speaks to them best. But I do think insight without effort is becomes a sort of philosophical enterprise that doesn't sort of sink into our bodies as deeply. So if you are afraid of taking risks in relationships and you understand where that you have insight into where that came from, if you
mm.
don't muster some courage to extend yourself in relationships, so you test the theory, it's going to remain at kind of a head level and not kind of the learning is not going to kind of sink down into your gut.
Okay. So is that like providing your nervous system enough evidence that
Yes,
what we learned is not necessarily true because now, and then just repeating it over and over again,
yes,
correct?
exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So, after all these years, what's one question about the human mind that you're still curious about?
Oh,
Or,
there's so many. I mean,
oh, okay.
so many. My grandson's getting ready to go to college, and he
Oh,
wants to. I know.
it's grown up so fast.
I know, can't stand it. And he's going to go to college in Ireland, so it's going to be so far away.
Oh,
I know, but he wants to study neuroscience because he's very interested in consciousness and the mind. And I think that this is really the next frontier. I'm so fat. We're just beginning to learn about consciousness, and it's just I'm utterly fascinated by it. And I think we just know the tiniest sliver about consciousness. I just think we're at the cutting edge. I can't wait.
that's so awesome. Because neuroscience, that's oh, wow. Because I feel like too, I mean, even so, it's like almost creating those new connections in
Hmm.
your brain. And your brain is amazing because it can adapt. So just because you experience like you've had stuff in your past that was fear-based, doesn't mean that it always has to be that way. Your brain can adapt and can build different connections. Oh, that's yeah, good for him.
I know, I know, I know,
That's awesome.
I know.
So, when you think about your work years from now, what do you hope they remember most, or what do you want people to remember most about your work?
Oh, you mean my clients? Is that what
Yeah,
you
your
mean?
clients or the
Mhm.
people that read your books, what do you
Oh,
want them to remember most about you?
oh, well, I am somebody who's very willing to be the flawed human being that I am. And I wrote a memoir about 6 or 7 years ago, and one of my clients who I hadn't seen for a while came to me and said, I was a little disappointed reading this because I thought you were evolved. And it's kind of related to what we were saying before, Kelly. I said, well, I'm really happy that you brought this up because I I don't want to present myself as evolved. I believe I'm evolving. I'm very much on the path of wanting to keep growing. But I'm very willing to present myself and see myself, and I don't need to present myself as some paragon or somebody that's all above anybody else. I mean, I'm just doing the best I can like the rest of us. I'm just doing the best I can like the rest of us. So I hope my clients and the people I've worked with and the people that read my books can just see my humanity, that another human being. I think of my work with clients as a co-exploration that we're exploring together. I don't see myself as above them or better than them or anything. I think we're doing this, we're on this journey together. I'm helping them. I have certain skills that I think that I bring to the table, but I don't think that makes me a better person in any way.
Right, yes. Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. You're putting out to help other people and you're trying to become a better person than you were yesterday. And yeah, and
Absolutely.
just being
Absolutely.
authentically you. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Absolutely.
So one of the themes of this podcast is learning to trust ourselves again after life's hardest experiences. So what does self-trust mean to you and how do people begin rebuilding it?
Mm. Yeah. Um, this might sound really kind of silly. Um, People that tend to be kind of people pleasing and be thinking about looking outward all the time to what other people need or other people want. The transition to asking themselves, what do I need? What do I want? Is a very difficult transition. And that has to do with
Mm,
trusting yourself, right? So I often will talk to people about you start at a very basic level. Like if somebody says to you, let's have Mexican for lunch today, ask yourself, do I feel like Mexican food today? And if the answer is no, be willing to say, actually, I'd rather not have Mexican today. How about Thai food? To start at that level of checking in with yourself on subjects that are not big, heavy, meaningful subjects, but start at a lower level where the stakes are not that high. And the more you do that, the more you continue to check in with
mm,
yourself, and just how do I feel about this? How do I feel about this? This helps you develop confidence in yourself and willingness to and the ability to know yourself better. One of my daughters, the her college graduation speaker, talked about the importance of listening to that, identifying and listening to that tiny, tiny little murmur inside you. It's like
mm.
tuning a radio station into that, to the exact dial where they used to have radio dials. um, and just being able to listen to those little, like, that doesn't feel good, or yeah, that feels good. That's where our confidence comes from.
Right, yes. And I used to be in that people-pleasing trauma response. That
Yep,
used to be me.
yep,
And it was a New Year's resolution one year, and I was like, if I don't want to do something, I'm just gonna say no, and I'm not gonna feel guilty about it. And so I
absolutely.
did it little by little, and this has been years of like working
Yep,
at it and being like,
yep,
no, I'm okay.
yep.
And and not over explaining because too if even if you say just be okay with saying no because no is a complete sentence. You can
No
just
is a
say no
complete
thank
sentence.
you.
Exactly, exactly. And then you'll see that the world keeps spinning. The world keeps spinning if you say
Right.
no. Nothing terrible happens, you know.
Exactly, that life goes on
Life
and that
goes
you're
on.
not going to get hurt, and so
Right,
hey, that was okay, and yeah,
right,
you keep going. Okay.
right.
um, so have you noticed a connection between having a sense of purpose and emotional well-being?
I think purpose, and another word I would use is meaning,
Mm,
is really important. I think it changes over our life at different states. I was just working with a woman who recently retired from a very, very high-powered job, very high-powered. And, she's got one adult son who lives in another city. And here she is, coming off of this very busy, very meaningful work that she did. And so we've spent the last few months talking about this notion of meaning and that she's going to have to redefine what meaning is for her at this stage of her life. I think it's really important for us to do that. And there's not one answer, obviously. I think this is an individual thing. We each have to define that for ourselves, but I think it's a super, super important exploration.
Oh, that's very true. Because there's seasons of your life,
Hmm.
because nothing lasts forever and things eventually change. And
Hmm.
so it's important to embrace it and not fight it.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Exactly.
What is something about human nature that gives you hope today?
Uh, it's such an interesting disconnect. There's so much, sort of ugliness at the kind of broader
Mm,
societal level. at the same time, I just noticed so many examples of just individual human kindness. I- I live in Portland, Oregon, and I live in the city. And there are there's a gentleman on the corner that sells the paper is called the Streets Roots paper. It's for the people that are houseless. And
Oh,
just seeing, you know, him having conversations with people walking down the street and, somebody offering him a cup of coffee and when I'm walking my dog, somebody wanting to say hi to my dog and just these,
oh,
I know. I love my dog. Um, these small moments of human kindness are so nourishing. They're so
mm, mm,
nourishing, and they go such a long way to temper this kind of, you know, ickiness that we're confronted with on the news and, you know, all over the place.
right. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of that fear-based, yeah,
Hmm.
thinking. And it
Hmm.
doesn't always have to be that way. We don't have
No,
to
it
live
doesn't.
that way. We
No.
get to choose what we take in,
Yes, exactly.
and it's very important. So if every listener remembered just one thing from today's conversation, what would you hope that it would be?
Um, I would say from this conversation, I would say the theme would be find a place, find a person that you feel safe enough with that you can
Mm,
gently and safely confront your fears. The more you
oh, yeah.
avoid, the worse it's going to be.
Mm,
So whatever you can do to, and it takes courage. So give yourself lots of pats on the
right.
back
Right.
for
Yeah.
having the courage to do it, and find some place where you can feel safely and gently, where you can take a look at these fears, lay them out on the table, and not hide from them anymore.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Uh, where can listeners connect with you and learn more about your work and even purchase your book?
Yeah, I love connecting with people. I love connecting with people. So my website is I don't know if you have show notes, but it's Liz Scott
Mhm.
Writer, like WRITER, lizscottwriter.com is my website. I have a Substack that's Liz Scott PDX, which is for Portland, PDX, Liz Scott PDX at substack.com. And you can get my book at Amazon or Barnes& and Noble or wherever books are sold. It's You're Gonna Die, but Not Me.
I
which,
love that.
which is I don't want to talk about it, but that was the beginning how I started. But
I
I
love
gave myself the, talking to, and I made myself confront it.
I love that you're adding humor to the subject instead of,
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely,
yes. So that helps lighten it a little bit so it's not so overwhelming. That's perfect. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on and just sharing your wisdom and just talking more about these subjects. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelly. I appreciate it a lot, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So, thank you for listening to the Kelly Healing Project. Remember that healing is not about becoming someone new, it's about reconnecting with who you truly are, healing the past, empowering your future. If you would like to connect further with me, you can visit me at thekellyhealingproject.com. I'll see you next time. Thank you.